The Scofield Reference Bible. Basically, it is just a popular study Bible that was first published in 1909 by Cyrus Scofield, and it reflects a dispensationalist interpretive approach to Scripture. Personally, I'm not a dispensationalist, so it's not really my cup of tea, but that's all it really is. It's a study Bible. However, I have a feeling that you're about to tell me a bunch of crazy nonsense about it.
In the early 1900s, right around when the Federal Reserve was founded and the Balfour Declaration happened, right at that exact same time, the Rothschild family hired this dude, this pastor in the Deep South.
Okay, so I was right. This is a bunch of crazy nonsense. But before I address these claims, why am I even making a video debunking misinformation about the Scofield Reference Bible? Like I said, I'm not a dispensationalist, and I have no personal interest in the Scofield Reference Bible. So why bother? Well, simply put, I care about the truth, and it kinda bothers me when people just make stuff up, especially when those lies are used to unfairly attack others, in this case Jews and Zionists. The falsehoods you're about to hear from this Ian Carroll guy are wildly popular among anti-Semites online, and the goal is to discredit the broad Christian support for Israel and Jews by insinuating that Christians were manipulated by nefarious forces. Even Candace Owens has pointed to this conspiracy theory as one of the reasons she left Protestantism and became a Catholic. Now, most Catholics do not agree with Candace, and they do not buy into this conspiracy theory, and neither do most Protestants. Also, there is nothing inherent about Protestantism that requires one to hold to dispensationalism or to use the Scofield Reference Bible, so I fail to see Candace's logic here. But my point is that she is a very influential person and considers this conspiracy theory to be significant, which frankly says a lot about her discernment or lack thereof. But because of the influence of people like her, this conspiracy theory's popularity, and its purpose to discredit Christian support for Israel and the Jewish people, it's worth addressing. So Carroll claims that the Rothschild family hired Cyrus Scofield to produce the Scofield Bible. He is insinuating that Zionist Jews were responsible for the Scofield Bible's creation as part of a conspiracy to trick Christians into supporting Israel. But there are a few problems with this theory. First, there is not a single shred of evidence for it. It is entirely made up. As one investigative journalist who looked into this conspiracy theory writes, quote, "I can't find any primary source that connects the Scofield Bible, Scofield himself, or Darby to the Rothschild family. The sources connecting all of this together are impossibly thin, mostly consisting of blogs and a few podcasts that throw the accusation out without evidence." Simply put, if there's a link between the Rothschilds and Darby, Scofield, the Scofield Bible, Christian Zionism, or its influence on American politics, nobody has bothered writing about it, documenting it, or exploring it in any way. The second problem is that we actually know who did fund the project, and it wasn't the Rothschild family. According to the scholar Michael Stallard, it was funded by 4 lay businessmen from New York, St. Louis, and Chicago, with no evidence whatsoever that Jewish Zionists were involved. Again, it's just made up. Third, the entire conspiracy claiming that the Rothschilds created Christian Zionism through the Scofield Bible makes no sense. The family had virtually no presence in America in 1909, and while some of them were Zionists, many were not. The Rothschilds are a large and diverse family, so lumping them all together as some sinister entity is nonsense.
The Rothschild family hired this dude, this pastor in the Deep South. He made a new version of the Bible called the Scofield Bible.
No, Scofield did not make a, quote, new version of the Bible. He used the King James Version and added his commentary and cross-references. This is no different than the modern ESV Study Bible, which is just an ESV that includes explanatory notes from various scholars in the footnotes.
He wrote this new Bible that has all these new interpretations of the text. So they didn't change.
With Jewish influence.
Yes, literally. That's where Judeo-Christianity kind of came from. And the idea that Israel is, this modern Israel thing, is the Israel of the Bible, it came from that Bible.
No, the concept of Judeo-Christianity did not come from the Scofield Reference Bible. It came from the Bible. Christianity emerged from Second Temple Judaism and was considered a Jewish sect in the New Testament and throughout the first century. Jesus himself is a Jew, and during his earthly ministry, he fully affirmed the Hebrew Scriptures, what many people call the Old Testament. The New Testament authors, who were Jews, based their teachings on the Hebrew Scriptures. The term Judeo-Christianity is just a way to highlight the shared moral values, biblical foundations, and theological concepts and ideas that unite Judaism and Christianity. All you have to do is read the New Testament to see that Christianity has Jewish roots. This idea certainly wasn't invented by dispensationalists in the early 1900s. Now, the Scofield Reference Bible undoubtedly popularized dispensationalist theology and a focus on Israel among evangelicals, but Christian support for Israel did not, quote, come from that Bible, that is the Scofield Reference Bible. No, many Christians, long before Scofield, supported the Jewish people's restoration to their land. In 1864, Charles Spurgeon gave the following commentary on the dry bones prophecy of Ezekiel 37, quote, "The meaning of our text, as opened up by the context, is most evidently, if words mean anything, first, that there shall be a political restoration of the Jews to their own land and to their own nationality." So already in 1864, Christian Zionism was already a thing. You had Christians who believed that the Bible taught that God would restore the Jewish people to their ancestral land. Numerous historical examples of this belief can be cited long before the Scofield Reference Bible. Now, you can disagree with these Christians if you want, but the main point here is that Ian Carroll has no clue what he is talking about when he claims that concepts like Judeo-Christianity and Zionism, quote, came from the Scofield Bible.
And the Scofield Bible was funded by the Rothschild family, and then it was pushed because they owned the publisher that publishes like all the books. I think it was Oxford Press. And so they had the deals that they could make to get that Bible into all the megachurches across whole denominations of Christianity.
So we already learned that there is not a single shred of evidence that the Rothschilds were involved with the Scofield Bible in any way, shape, or form. There is also not a single shred of evidence that they own or control Oxford University Press. The University of Oxford owns and controls it, and the University of Oxford predates the rise of the Rothschilds' banking dynasty by centuries.
And so that was when Christianity got kind of Jewified.
So I'm sorry to disappoint the anti-Semites, but Christianity has been, quote, Jewified from the very beginning. Jesus was a Jew, as were his disciples. And even when Gentiles started following Jesus as the Messiah, they were joining what was at that time considered a Jewish sect. You want to know why many Christians care about Israel and the Jewish people? It's because we read the scriptures. We read about how the God of Israel cares deeply about the land of Israel and has given it to Abraham's descendants whom he loves. These convictions don't come from Scofield's study notes. They come from biblical authors like the Jewish Apostle Paul, who taught that God has not revoked his gifts or calling to the Jewish people. So if you take issue with any of that, your problem isn't with the Scofield Study Bible, it's with the Bible.